The day was September 11, 2001. It began as a clear, crisp Tuesday morning. Millions of people across America started their day as usual. They went to work or to school. Few could have imagined how this ordinary day would soon change the world forever. The normalcy of that morning would be violently shattered. This date is now deeply etched into global history. It became a day of profound shock and sorrow for many. It started like any other late summer day, but it was destined to be very different. The attacks were carried out by terrorists. They belonged to the extremist group Al-Qaeda. This group was led by Osama bin Laden. On that fateful morning, they hijacked 4 commercial airplanes. Their deadly plan was to fly these planes into significant American landmarks. 2 of these planes were deliberately aimed at the World Trade Center in New York City. This was a carefully coordinated and brutal assault. The world was largely unprepared for an attack of such scale and audacity. It was an act of unprecedented aggression. The first horrifying event unfolded early. American Airlines Flight 11 was on its journey. It had departed from Boston and was heading to Los Angeles. At 8:45 a.m. Eastern Time, this plane crashed directly into the North Tower. The aircraft struck the immense structure of the World Trade Center with terrible force. The impact occurred high up, ripping a hole between the 93rd and 99th floors. Dark smoke immediately began to billow from the iconic skyscraper. Confusion and fear quickly spread on the streets below as people witnessed the unbelievable. Barely 18 minutes later, the terror intensified. United Airlines Flight 175 was also on a transcontinental flight. It too had departed from Boston, bound for Los Angeles. At precisely 9:03 a.m., this second hijacked plane struck the South Tower. The impact was slightly lower, between the 77th and 85th floors. A massive fireball erupted upon impact, a horrifying spectacle against the blue sky. This second crash confirmed the worst fears of everyone watching. It was clear now that New York City was under a deliberate attack. The Twin Towers were more than just buildings. They stood as powerful symbols of global commerce and American ambition. They dominated the famous New York City skyline for decades. Each tower soared to over 1,360 feet in height. Each contained 110 stories of office space and observation points. Thousands of people worked inside these structures every single day. Many more visited the renowned observation deck or the windows on the World Restaurant. They were widely considered marvels of modern engineering and construction. Few ever imagined they could be brought down. The impact of the hijacked airplanes was utterly devastating. The planes, laden with jet fuel, effectively became missiles. Upon crashing into the towers, this fuel ignited instantly. The resulting fires burned with incredible intensity. The temperatures inside the affected floors reached extreme levels, far beyond what the structures were designed to handle. The building's robust steel skeletons were incredibly strong. However, they were not engineered to withstand such prolonged exposure to such intense heat. The structural steel began to warp and weaken significantly. This critical weakening ultimately led to the unthinkable and catastrophic outcome. The South Tower was the first to succumb to the damage. At 9:59 a.m. Eastern Time, it began to collapse. The massive structure imploded, falling downwards in a matter of seconds. A colossal cloud of dust, smoke, and debris billowed outwards, engulfing Lower Manhattan. The collapse was shockingly sudden and overwhelmingly catastrophic. People on the streets below were forced to run for their lives. The sound of the falling tower was described as deafening. The sight was terrifying beyond words. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated terror for everyone who witnessed it or was nearby. The North Tower, the first to be hit, endured for longer, but it too was doomed. At 10:28 a.m., it also crumbled to the ground. Another immense cloud of dust and debris enveloped the financial district. The city was blanketed in a thick layer of pulverized concrete and other materials. The world-famous skyline of New York City was irrevocably altered in those few hours. 2 of the world's most recognizable buildings had simply vanished. The sheer scale of the destruction was almost impossible to comprehend. America had been deeply wounded on its own soil. In the midst of the unimaginable horror, extraordinary heroes emerged. First responders from across New York City rushed towards the disaster. Brave firefighters from the Fire Department of New York, FDNY, were prominent. Dedicated police officers from the New York City Police Department, NYPD, also answered the call. Port Authority police officers, stationed at the World Trade Center, were among the first on scene. Paramedics and emergency medical technicians hurried to provide aid. They all ran towards the burning, unstable towers. They knew the immense danger they faced, yet their duty was to save others. Their bravery was truly extraordinary. Many made the ultimate sacrifice that day while trying to help. The numbers associated with the human cost are grim. A total of 2,763 people tragically died at the World Trade Center site. This figure was part of nearly 3,000 victims who perished in the day's coordinated attacks. Among those killed at the towers were 343 FDNY firefighters. 23 NYPD officers also lost their lives in the line of duty. 37 Port Authority police officers perished while responding to the catastrophe. These brave men and women represent a profound loss. Their selfless sacrifice will forever be remembered with gratitude and sorrow. Individual acts of incredible heroism shone brightly through the darkness of that day. Firefighter Stephen Siller provides a powerful example. He had just finished his shift and was off duty. When he heard the news of the attack, he immediately responded. He drove his truck towards the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel but found it blocked for security reasons. Undeterred, he strapped on approximately 60 pounds of his firefighting gear. He then ran through the entire length of the tunnel to reach the Twin Towers. He ultimately died saving others. His story continues to inspire many people today through the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. FDNY Captain William Billy Burke was another such hero. He was courageously operating inside the North Tower. He was assisting civilians and his own crew on the 27th floor when the situation became critical. He gave clear orders for his crew and the civilians he was helping to evacuate ahead of him. He selflessly stayed behind to ensure their safety, reportedly telling them, "Keep going, I'm right behind you." Captain Burke perished when the North Tower collapsed. These compelling stories and many others like them represent countless acts of profound valor and self-sacrifice performed on September 11th. The attacks of September 11th left deep and lasting scars. The health of many individuals was severely affected. A thick, toxic dust cloud filled the air over Lower Manhattan for weeks and months. Thousands of first responders, diligent recovery workers, and innocent survivors breathed in these hazardous materials. This prolonged exposure has unfortunately led to a wide range of serious long-term health problems. Conditions such as chronic asthma became common. Post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, affected many minds. Various types of cancer have also been tragically linked to the toxic environment at Ground Zero. These illnesses continue to emerge even decades later. In response to this health crisis, dedicated support systems were eventually established. The World Trade Center Health Program, WTTHP, was created. It provides free medical monitoring and vital treatment for 9/11-related health conditions. It serves both responders and survivors. The September 11th Victim Compensation Fund, VCF, offers crucial financial aid. It has provided over $7 billion in compensation to individuals or their families. The VCF has been thankfully extended through the year 2092. However, troubling recent events in May 2025 saw significant layoffs at the WTCHP. This has reportedly caused concerning delays in benefit approvals and new enrollments, as highlighted by AFSCME. Remembering the events and the victims is fundamentally vital. The National September 11th Memorial and Museum now stands at the Ground Zero site. Two serene reflecting pools are situated precisely in the footprints of the original Twin Towers. The names of every victim are inscribed around these pools. Nearby, One World Trade Center, often called the Freedom Tower, rises majestically. It officially opened to the public in November 2014. Annual commemorative events such as the Tunnel to Towers climb continue to honor the fallen. The most recent climb, held on Sunday, June 1, 2025, saw over 1,200 participants ascend One World Trade Center. The legacy of 9/11 is undeniably complex and multifaceted. The attacks led directly to the declaration of a war on terrorism. The Department of Homeland Security was established in the United States. The events profoundly reshaped global politics and international relations. Osama bin Laden, the mastermind, was eventually found and killed in 2011. But 9/11 also powerfully demonstrated human resilience and courage. It showed an incredible spirit of unity in the face of unimaginable tragedy. The world continues to remember September 11th. It is a solemn day to honor all the victims and the heroes. It remains a call for peace, understanding, and vigilance. The enduring spirit of those lost lives on.